Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. During these difficult times, we tend to think a lot about our leaders. We look to leaders to get us out of this mess. We get disappointed with leaders who fail to get us out of this mess. We think about which leaders we wish we had, which leaders we're glad we have, and which leaders we wish we had in other positions. You hear people talk about governors they wish were president, presidents they wish were mayors, mayors that they wish were nowhere near public office, and things like that. And a lot of different people have different opinions on them, but looking to the leaders is something that a lot of us are doing. And it made me think of a saying, a fairly old and well-known saying that I liked. Good leaders don't make followers, they make other leaders. And New York has always been a place for that. It happened in New York. The year is 1789, and the place is Federal Hall on Wall Street. Since the earliest light of April 30th, people have been gathering in the streets of New York City, waiting to see a ceremony that will only happen once. The very first inauguration of the President of the United States. There will be other inaugurations and other presidents, but there will only ever be one first. The energy is palpable with the contrasting feelings of no tradition being attached to this ceremony yet, and the fact that it is the first time. George Washington, everyone's favorite American at this point for having won the war and created the nation, arrives at the Battery at the southern tip of Manhattan in the morning and gets in a coach and is escorted to Federal Hall, to the sound of church bells ringing throughout the city. Now, the congressional chamber is in Federal Hall at this point. New York is, for the course of this first year, the capital of the U.S. It will move down to Pennsylvania and eventually, to the border between Maryland and Virginia. But for right now, New York is the capital. And the Chancellor of New York, Robert Livingston, who had been on the committee to write the Declaration of Independence, is preparing to administer the oath of office to the new president. On the balcony of Federal Hall, so the largest possible number of new American citizens can witness the ceremony, George Washington takes the oath and, without having told anyone, extemporaneously ad-libs the last 4 words. So help me God. That was Washington's own contribution to the oath of office, and it has been part of the oath ever since. Now, just at the foot of Wall Street is Trinity Church. Trinity Church was a very posh church where some of the finest families in the city, families with names like Schuyler and Jay and Hamilton and Livingston, had their pews. It would have been perfectly expected and perfectly appropriate for the new head of state of a new nation to go to Trinity Church and pray. Washington did not do this. Instead, he took a 10-minute walk up to St. Paul's Chapel. Just outside the city in those days, it was the edge of the countryside. This was the farmer's church, the blacksmith's church, the carpenter's church, or as an eloquent fellow on my tour once said, this was the church for people who need a shower after work. And Washington came there to hear divine service, as the saying went. This was a gesture, if ever there was a gesture, for the spirit of new American leadership. Afterwards, there was no inaugural ball. That wasn't a thing yet. Washington went to the presidential mansion and dined alone. There were fireworks in the evening, and the business of the nation was ready to begin. Federal Hall National Memorial now stands on the site of the old Federal Hall. There's a statue of George Washington, sculpted by John Quincy Adams Ward, and it keeps a watchful eye over the New York Stock Exchange, which had been partly founded by that rogue Alexander Hamilton, for whom Washington had fatherly love. These can all be seen when it is safe to do so. There are many relics from the time and from the inauguration, the most significant of which probably is the Bible on which George Washington swore the oath. It belonged and belongs to the Freemasons' Lodge, but they often loan it out to Federal Hall National Memorial to be seen by visitors, and is a very moving experience for many. When it is safe to do so, please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook or email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.